all the time.
The whole world knows who you are now, Nick.
David England has set me up.
You need to come in.
I'm ready to die. And it's important that you understand that.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The story begins with the image of a man standing alone on the edge of a towering hotel building, high above the roaring city below. The morning sun hits the glass windows around him, casting a sharp reflection that makes his presence seem almost unreal. People walking on the streets pause, eyes widening as they notice a figure balancing hundreds of feet in the air. Within minutes, the air is filled with panic and whispers as crowds gather, phones rise, and emergency sirens begin to scream toward the scene. The man stands completely still, breathing slowly as if he has rehearsed this moment countless times. His expression isn't one of fear but of focus, as if the edge beneath his feet is the only place he feels truly grounded. His calmness puzzles everyone watching, and while the world assumes he is here to give up, he knows this is only the beginning of a carefully constructed plan. Authorities quickly lock down the area as negotiators, police officers, and news crews flood the streets. Everyone is desperate to understand why a man would choose this ledge on this particular day. But the man remains silent, letting the tension build around him. His presence becomes the center of attention, turning the street into an arena of speculation. As police try to convince him to step back, he requests one thing that leaves them confused. He wants to speak only to one person. That demand becomes the first sign that this situation is far more complex than it appears. While officers scramble to locate the person he asks for, the man maintains his slow, steady breathing, watching the growing crowd below as if measuring every second with purpose. As the negotiation begins, the story shifts to the inner turmoil of the man on the ledge. He is not simply a desperate figure seeking escape, he is someone fighting to prove something the world has refused to hear. Before climbing onto the ledge, he had been pushed into circumstances that left him with nothing but one final option: expose the truth by forcing the world to look at him. Memories of his past rush through his mind, moments where everything was stripped from him, where accusations were thrown at him, and where his voice was drowned beneath lies he never had the chance to defend himself from. The ledge becomes the perfect stage for his message, because up here, with cameras pointed at him, every eye is forced to watch and every ear is forced to listen. He knows this is risky, but he also knows that clearing his name requires extreme measures. While the crowd below watches in fear, something entirely different is happening behind the scenes. This ledge is only one part of a larger plan unfolding at the same moment. Two people move quietly through the city, slipping into buildings and hallways unnoticed, connected to the man by trust and purpose. Their actions are not random but a synchronized maneuver designed to expose the truth behind the crime he was accused of. As they bypass rooms, security, and obstacles, they rely on every second he buys for them by standing on that ledge. The world believes he is alone and helpless, but he is anything but. He is the distraction, the decoy, the heartbeat of a mission that demands absolute precision. The tension increases as the negotiator arrives, the person the man insisted on speaking with. Their conversation begins with caution, but it becomes clear that the two share a history. She tries to approach him gently, urging him to step away from the ledge, promising to listen, but he doesn't move. Instead, he reveals pieces of his story, not as confessions, but as truths that have been buried under false accusations. His words carry the weight of betrayal, injustice, and desperation. Each sentence exposes a layer of the corruption that led to his downfall, and she begins to realize that this situation is far more complicated than a man simply ready to jump. He speaks not as a broken soul, but as someone determined to reclaim what was stolen from him. Below the rooftop, tension spreads as more people gather and news outlets broadcast the scene across every screen. The entire city becomes fixated on the man suspended between life and death. But as the world watches, the hidden team supporting him continues executing the second half of the plan. Their objective is dangerous, requiring stealth, speed, and complete trust. As they navigate through secure areas that hide the evidence he needs, every step they take connects back to the man on the ledge, whose calm demeanor masks the storm of adrenaline inside him. He continues distracting the police while also guiding his team through subtle hints and coded phrases disguised as emotional outbursts to the negotiator. The police grow increasingly suspicious, sensing that something isn't right. Why is a man on the verge of death so composed? Why is he so selective about what he says? Why does he insist that only one person can speak to him? The negotiator tries to piece together the clues, analyzing his every word, his stance, even the rhythm of his breathing. She realizes that he is playing a game much larger than anyone expected. Behind his desperation lies strategy, intelligence, and a burning desire to expose the one who framed him. She tries to warn the officers around her, but they dismiss her concerns, believing they have the situation under control. The emotional weight intensifies when the man tells the negotiator why he chose her. He believes she is the only one capable of hearing the truth without judging him based on the accusations surrounding his name. Their conversation becomes a battle of trust and doubt, with her trying to convince him that there must be another way. But he tightens his grip on the edge, his voice shaking not from fear but from the growing pressure of time. Every passing minute risks exposing the secret mission unfolding elsewhere, and he knows he cannot afford a single mistake. The negotiator eventually realizes that he does not fear death. What he fears is failing to clear his name before the world labels him permanently. Meanwhile, the mission behind the scenes reaches its most dangerous phase. The hidden team finds itself at the heart of the place where critical evidence is concealed. Their movements become more intense as they uncover the pieces needed to reveal the true criminal who ruined his life. Every lock picked, every room searched, every narrow escape brings them closer to the truth. Yet the danger grows with every step, and the slightest miscalculation could expose everything. The man on the ledge subtly shifts his stance, sensing that the moment of truth is near. His breath becomes heavier, his eyes scan the crowd, and his pulse races, not from fear of falling, but from the anticipation of everything coming together. The final moments arrive with overwhelming intensity. The hidden team retrieves the crucial evidence and prepares to reveal it to the world. But complications arise as the authorities begin suspecting an outside operation. Officers rush into buildings trying to shut down access points, unaware that they are seconds too late. The man on the ledge sees police movement increasing and understands that the illusion he built is starting to crumble. The negotiator, watching his behavior, realizes exactly what he has been doing all along. She sees through his calmness, through his carefully crafted emotional display, and when their eyes lock, she silently acknowledges the truth he could never openly say. Everything erupts at once. The hidden team narrowly escapes detection and succeeds in transmitting the recovered evidence. The truth begins unfolding, exposing the corruption that orchestrated his downfall. The man on the ledge, finally knowing that his message will reach the world, steps back just enough for officers to rush toward him. Panic spreads through the crowd as he slips momentarily, triggering screams from below, but he regains his balance. In a final defiant moment, his eyes close briefly as the weight of his journey lifts, not because he was saved by the police, but because he saved himself through perseverance and undeniable truth. As he is pulled away from the edge and placed into custody, everything he has endured becomes visible in the tremble of his hands and the steady rise of his breath. The negotiator follows him, watching the emotional shift transform his face. For the first time, he allows himself to show vulnerability, not out of weakness, but relief. The world begins learning the truth about him, and the power of his sacrifice becomes clear. He didn't stand on the ledge to end his life. He stood there to reclaim it. The city that once judged him now watches the story unfold with shock, realizing how easily a lie can destroy a life and how much courage it takes to fight for redemption. In the final emotional stretch, he walks away with the negotiator at his side, both of them changed by the events of the day. She now understands the depth of his pain and the strength it took to make the world listen. He understands that even in a corrupt system, there are still people willing to see the truth. His journey doesn't end with the ledge, it begins with the moment he stepped away from it. Every step he takes afterward is a reminder that justice can be reclaimed when someone is willing to risk everything to expose the truth. The film leaves a powerful message behind. Sometimes the bravest act is not holding on, but refusing to let others control the narrative of your life. And as the city lights glow beneath the night sky, the man who once stood on the edge now walks forward, no longer defined by fear, but by the truth he fought to reveal.